At Summer NAMM 2019, I wanted to make a different type of video that's typically done. I wanted to go in depth with philosophy and why certain pieces of gear were created. I wanted to go into the application and how this will change the way that we record or mix.
This is Seth at Rad Distribution's booth at Summer 2019, and I'm here showing off the Kahayan line of amp switchers. So there's 3 different models to this line that all serve a slightly different purpose. The first one that you'll see is the 8x4, and what it is, it's the ability to switch amplifiers and cabinets. So let's say you have a room where you have 8 amplifiers and 4 cabinets, and you want to be able to audition them or try and say, make different combinations. You have the ability to say, let's say I want my Fender amp, I want to hear it though through my Marshall cab. I have the ability to, select those 2 options. You could have multiple amps, from the same company. Let's say I have a 1x12 and a 2x10. You have the ability to switch between the 2 because they will have different tonalities, and you have the ability to mix, and say, okay, I want to hear how my guitar will sound through this amp. I want to hear how it sounds through my 2x10. I want to hear how it sounds through my 4x12.
Yeah, and it be forever just to switch it up.
Exactly, and that's one of the really great things. It saves a whole lot of time that normally would be spent unplugging your guitar, plugging in the cab, plugging in the amp, moving wires around, and you set it up once, and it's something that would normally take 20 minutes. Now it takes less than 5 seconds. Building on that idea, Kahayan came out with the Midi 8x4, which is the same concept as the 8x4, but with a lot more functionality. So instead of using physical switches, it actually uses push-button switches, still 8 inputs for the amplifiers, 4 inputs for the speakers, the cabinets, but it's all done via relays on the inside. One thing that's special about this is it has MIDI control, so you can actually control it from a foot pedal selector. So if you had, let's say, a touring rig with multiple amplifiers, you had the ability to actually select between different amplifiers while on stage, or a tech off stage could select between it. In the studio realm, that's a really useful skill, because if you have MIDI presets built into your session, you could actually recall a session, and it will actually recall the parts, the amplifier and the cabinet that you were using on that session.
Nice.
A couple other really cool features built into it is on the rear, you will see a attenuator output, pretty much an Attenuator Fx Loop. So you can actually put like a hot plate or a speaker attenuator that you can actually put in line that will work on no matter which amplifier you select. So you can actually run, the output of your amp harder, and then it's not like you have to unpatch it to each one separately. You can actually hear how it affects each amplifier. It also has a tuner output on the front, so you actually could have a tuner plugged in, so you don't have to unplug your guitar to be able to tune it.
How concerned do I need to be about the impedance of the speakers when switching amps?
So a lot of thought was actually put into that. So when you select a speaker, the other 7 amplifiers actually get a dummy load, so that it doesn't affect the output transformers of those other 7 speakers. So the load will always stay the same, whether that amplifier is selected or not.
Do I need to make sure that each of the cabinets that I'm hooking in is roughly the same impedance?
You should. Obviously, amplifiers don't want to run, an amplifier doesn't want to run with no cabinet plugged in. And you do want to match, say, like an 8 ohm load amplifier to an 8 ohm load.
Yeah.
But there is some play. Generally, the safe way is everything kind of centers around 8 ohms, and most amps are built with the output transformers to be able to handle being off by down to 4 ohms or up to 16 ohms.
Right.
Might run hot, but they were designed to have that type of flexibility to them. So even if you selected an 8 ohm amplifier with a 4 ohm cab, it'll still work.
Right.
You wanna match them, but it will be fine. The newest item that should be that's currently in development is the Fx Loop switcher, that allows you to not only switch out your amplifiers and your cabs, but it allows you to use a single Fx loop amongst all 8 amplifiers. So let's say you have an Fx loop on your Fender, and you want to select, you switch over to your Marshall. That Fx loop will follow over, so you can continue to use your same, pedal board without having to unpatch it from the first amplifier. And it's really, it's once again, it's just one of those, time savers. It just really makes things that take a lot of time just not anymore.